We go through that. Because we have new destinations that are going to keep popping up as we keep going along here. So yeah, it's going to basically send you back and forth in time. Back into the past for the AB room. Hang on, folks. We have not yet begun to play Quantum Leap. Ugh. Ow. Ow, 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 ow. Damn it. Feels like my head's gonna explode. Wait. Where the hell am I? Looks like an elevator, but...
No. This is one of the AB rooms.
Yeah! Who the hell are you? And what the hell's an AB room?
Damn. I guess you did lose your memory after all.
Memory. Memory. I remember! You're Fi! She grinned. Not much of a grin. When is this?
Check your bracelet.
It's red. Pair. BP is 3.
Mine's the same.
Does this mean this is the beginning of the game? We've gone back to when we first woke up in the AB room?
No, not quite. I think we woke up a little earlier this time.
How do you know?
Push the buttons on the side of your bracelet.
2 hours. 15 minutes.
We didn't wake up this long before the primary doors opened last time. I think we're about an hour early.
Wait a minute. If you're right...
Yeah. Akane might still be alive. We got back before Dio killed her. I think.
Then...
Right. We're here for one reason.
To stop her from getting killed.
Exactly.
Let's move. We need to get out of here, fast.
Don't need to tell me twice. Let's go.
Yeah, here we go. Okay, so... Yep. Basically, if you can remember the password to get out of here... I wonder if we even need to do that this time. So let's remember the correct password. Moon, sun, and sun. Oh, god damn it, where do I need to enter? The passwords are only randomized at the beginning of the game. That's the thing. Every new game you start, you will get a random assortment of passwords, but as long as you're still playing that save, the passwords will not change. Fi and I climbed up to the hatch and out into the top of the AB room. It took us only a moment to spot them. Akane! Behind her was Dio. He was moving quickly and quietly, a knife glinting in his right hand. Shit! There was no time to yell to her. I scrambled down from the top of the AB room. Yeah, I think it's to keep people from trying to speed run the game. You know, anyway. Fi wasn't following me. When I looked back, she was still standing on the roof. Fi! What the hell are you doing? Get down here! Before I could finish, she moved. She ran across the roof, launched herself into the air. Every time I get to see this scene, and comes pretty damn close to curb stomping Dio on the floor. What the?
He's fine. Just unconscious.
I bent down and held my fingers in front of his mouth. He was still breathing.
I don't think he saw me. He probably has no idea what happened to him.
Like I said, the hat is an alien parasite. Guy went down like a sack of potatoes.
He had it coming.
You have a point. I heard footsteps come to a stop right in front of us. I think his everything is broke at this point. I looked up.
So you came. I've been waiting for you. You're here to hear the rest, right?
Wait. Just wait a minute. What the hell is your deal? How can you be so calm? If we hadn't shown up just now, you'd...
Have been stabbed in the heart by this young man and died. Yes. Although, that reminds me, I haven't thanked you yet. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate you saving me.
She does need a few more jewels. Maybe if she'd had a bunch, it could have been enough armor to block the knife. What?
Hold on. How do you know about being stabbed by Dio? Are you an Esper too?
Yes. Indeed, I am. I am able to jump through time, just like you.
Then what the hell were you thinking? I was thinking more like the, like Smaug from The Hobbit. How he had that kind of impenetrable jewel belly that just had, like, one spot that, you know. If you knew he was going to stab you, why were you going to let him do it?
Because I had to.
You, what?
Think back. Why are you here? If I hadn't been killed by Dio, no one else would have been murdered. Consequently, your own abilities would never have manifested. I did explain, didn't I? The purpose of the AB project was to send the two of you to the past. Or your minds, at least. In order for that to happen, some death was necessary. When a human brain is faced with danger, its processing speed increases. Information is processed more quickly, and time almost seems to slow. A few seconds can feel like an eternity. Unfortunately, that in itself isn't enough to send oneself through time. The amplitude of the consciousness is simply too small. In order to increase the amplitude, we need to slow down the brain before the increase happens.
You know, think about it. This is the second time we've had Schrodinger's Akane.
It's a little like a slingshot. You pull back on the rubber band and then let go. The potential energy you stored in the band is released and converted into kinetic energy. That's what fires the bullet out of the slingshot. Now, while a slingshot can only fire in one direction, your mind isn't similarly limited. When the bullet of your consciousness is fired from a slingshot of your brain, it travels past the three-dimensional world and into the four-dimensional one. From that perspective, time is no longer fixed.
Come on, Ziggy. Fix it.
In other words, you can travel to the future, the past, whenever you like. Your consciousness has been released from the three-dimensional cage. In order for that to happen, I had to infect you with Radical 6.
Whoa, what?
We're infected with Radical 6?
Yes.
She sounds almost happy when she says yes there.
Don't you remember, Sigma? Luna should have told you about it in another timeline.
Are you sure? Infecting all of these people with such a horrible disease?
Every single one of you has been infected. Well, apart from Luna, of course.
I would say Akane's probably ready, more than ready for a nap.
Unfortunately, it was necessary. We needed to slow your minds in order to store up your potential energy. Then we provided a dire situation that would accelerate your processing speed. The result is what you are now experiencing. Your consciousness now occupies four-dimensional space-time. Even that, however, wasn't enough. You had the ability to travel, but your memories could easily be lost during the trip. If the project was to succeed, you had to be able to retain everything you learned in each reality. That was the reason you were forced to jump so many times. With each jump, your ability to remember improved. Eventually, you would be able to retain everything. That is why we made you play the A-B game. That was why you had to select different chromatic doors. By forcing specific choices, we could cause you to make more jumps.
I get it. I think I finally understand. Well, okay, there are a lot of things I don't understand, but all of what you just told me makes sense. If viewed through the right perspective, maybe. You did all of this so that Fi and I could jump through four-dimensional space with our memories intact. Right?
Yes.
But why did you need us to do that? People have died for this. I mean, let's count how many different ways people died. Murder, antimatter explosion, suicide. I've died, so has Fi, so have you. So why would you do all this? What does it matter that Fi and I jumped through time?
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable.
Now see, the thing is, if you accept that the game's pseudoscience is correct, and, I mean, it's all pseudoscience because in the real world, we're pretty freaking sure nothing works the exact same way. then it's all cohesive. But that's only if you can accept the fact that people actually have the ability to do things like send their consciousness back and forth in time and project their thoughts into the ether.
You are all destined to die. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
I already know all that. What I'm asking you is why? What's so goddamn important that it's worth all this?
Ah. I'm sure you'll figure it out eventually.
What? Just when is eventually?
In a future not very far from now.
Hey, you're gonna have to jump again. Take a guess why. Bullshit! That's not good enough. Why can't you tell us now? Instead of answering, Akane knelt down to Dio and picked his knife up off the floor.
I'm going to keep this with me.
Don't change the subject.
But it's almost time.
What are you talking about? You got plenty of time.
No. In a few moments, you'll return to the original timeline.
What?
This is the way it has to be. Don't fight it. Logomorph.
Yes.
Logomorph?
You call him Zero Jr. His official designation is Logomorph. Logomorph, this is an order. Unlock my bracelet.
Compliance.
Now, everything is in place. I have put the bracelet onto Dio.
So that's how Dio gets a bracelet in the times when he doesn't manage to kill Akane.
All we have to do is place his body in the 5th AB room, the second one from the right.
That's the one Quark is in, right?
Correct. I will move him. I will also put your bodies back into the 3rd AB room. Once that's done, I will reset its puzzle to an unsolved state.
Why do you need to do all that?
To recreate the history that you remember. Your consciousness is about to leave your body and return to the future. Your body will be emptied, and your other consciousness will jump back in. If your bodies aren't back in the 3rd AB room by then, it would be bad.
So you're saying some version of us is going to wake up in that room and repeat the same history again? Well, I guess this could actually be our 2nd or 3rd time.
You are exactly correct. Lastly, I'm going to leave this with you.
She paused and pulled something out of her pocket. It was a small key attached to a string.
I'll tie it onto your ankle so that you won't lose it. All right, Sigma?
What's it say on there?
Tu fui ego eris.
Gee, where have we heard that before?
It's Latin. It means, what you are, I was. What I am, you will be.
Yes.
What am I supposed to do with it?
It will help you meet someone who's very important.
What?
Go. Return to the future. You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you. Now hurry.
Wait! I still... Ba-ba-boom. So, just in case, because it would be actually really, really easy to miss it if you weren't pointed right to it. Yeah, now we're back down here.
Oh, looks like you're awake.
Is this the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but...
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
I looked over at Fi and met her eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Huh. Yeah, I remember all right.
Hey, what are you guys talking about?
Quark!
What am I? Chopped liver?
Alice!
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Yeah, thanks. Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although, I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit action because I'm a complete and total pervert.
Really grabbing at straws here, aren't you?
Hey, I wasn't talking to Quark. Thank God. I mean, I got the fact that he was talking to Alice, but I'm kind of wondering why. She's revealing enough without a swimsuit right now. Whatever.
Not really my point.
Oh, whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
It says 10. I have 10 BP?
I've got 15 BP? That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose Ally. And now all of us have enough to leave.
Well, remember, the talk with Akane had to take less than 2 hours, or else we wouldn't be out of the room in time for the doors to unlock. But we just jumped back, and it took us an extra. We didn't jump back to the exact same point we left. Remember, they were knocked out for 2 hours, so you know. I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all of our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Without a death to start things off, maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another. Or could the bombs have had something to do with it? We'd all joined forces against Dio, and Fi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcame a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which I had to admit would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you? Death was unavoidable. Sacrifices had to be made for the sake of the project.
Yeah, that could have been really, really bad if they'd forced Dio, Sigma, and Phi on the same team.
Come on, let's go! Let's open the door and get out of here!
Wait. What about him? After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. Alice was the only holdout. She complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio then, she reluctantly complied.
All right. Let's get going.
Yeah, Luna could have gotten some aluminum foil to get their bracelets off. Well, not Dio's, but you know. Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Everyone else swallowed and nodded. I grabbed the lever and pulled it down.
The number 9 door has been opened.
A long-ass elevator scene. Oh god, we're in Mass Effect. Ha!
It will remain open for 9 seconds.
Alright, everybody, let's move. I didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It looks sort of like a large plate on top of a huge pedestal. We ran to the center of the plate and turned around. The number 9 door stood wide open.
2, 1, 0. The number 9 door is closing. The number 9 door has closed. This ends the Nonary game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over, all doors other than the number 9 door have been unlocked.
Long elevators. All we got from the Dio ending is it looked like we were in a very large desert. And it was going to take a very long time to get, you know,
Looks like we did it.
anywhere.
Yes. We should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left, we found a very familiar-looking door. We pushed it open and went in. This is kind of like the Dio ending, though. The pressure exchange chamber.
You know what this place is?
Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. I think the idea is to keep the air outside, and consequently the virus, from getting inside. That means if we want to go out, we have to decompress so that we match the outside air pressure. This room here is where you prepare for going into the actual pressure exchange room. See all those suits along the wall? I figure we need to put those on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa! Hold on a minute! You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we were all already infected with Radical 6, so the whole room seemed a little pointless.
Why? How did all this happen?
Did they...
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
All right.
No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. As soon as we were all inside, the process began. Through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes, waiting for the process to finish. At last it did, and we heard the door begin to open. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, except for Phi, and although I couldn't see their faces through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments, we just stood there, astonished.
Where the hell are we?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know, but I think I know what day it is.
Hmm?
Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse.
So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was gonna be on December 31st, 2028. So...
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
I think so.
Wherever we were must have been far away from any city. The air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars. The sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I could even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. But the most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive. Much bigger, in fact, than I remembered it being. We've met with a terrible fate, haven't we? Then, as I watched, a black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the right edge. But what's that?
The moon. Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
The moon's shadow? I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation. He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed, like an idiot, and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So, that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What the hell are you saying?
Think about it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth?
Yeah. It's not the red moon you get from a lunar eclipse. And again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon, covering the sun.
What? Nah, no way. If that's the Earth, then where the hell are we?
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base. No way. No, you've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe that? This can't be the moon.
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
She picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
Luna?
You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but
Excuse me? What?
please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Excelivir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well,
Yeah, Luna would not make good Soylent Green.
Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed. Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408.
Yeah, it would not be a twist if you got the 0 ending and realized that we've been on the moon the whole time. It would not be much of a stretch, nah.
That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed. As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's. The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same.
Yeah, but remember, the recording was not of the moon. It wasn't talking to anybody on the moon. It was just talking to people out in the desert.
Does that make sense? So, now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us.
Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity?
Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigmund Phi said something about it in the lounge.
Sigma questioned him. Sigma questioned her super jumps.
About how you felt weird?
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine. I'm sort of floating. Like that.
It seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. To a point. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well.
Wait, this is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth, and it's blue and green and beautiful. That thing is just red.
Yeah, that is one of the best moments of the game where Zero just goes, let's talk about termites, even though you've got millions of questions for me.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028. Today is January 27th.
In 29?
No.
Don't tell me. 30?
Still no.
And just what year is this?
It's 74. 2074.
No. That's insane. That would mean we were abducted more than 45 years ago.
I don't blame you if you don't believe me. But it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 45 years ago, on April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world. On the 13th, all 18 of them went up, all at the same time. The explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
Clover did not realize that was Junpei. What? Why?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down.
Well, I mean, part of it, think about it like this. As far as Clover's concerned, it's only been a few days since she was abducted. So if she saw Tenmyoji, she in no way could assume that was Junpei because, well, he's an old man now. She hasn't realized it's been 50 years.
But eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics. But for some, it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that.
Yeah, on another timeline he did. This isn't that timeline, though.
After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th in 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors. Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened. But I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected. And when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate if I die, you're coming with me gesture, I suppose. I'd bet you money they'd all
Yeah. Happy birthday! We killed the world for you.
Even if it wasn't directly responsible, Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth.
Yeah, we found the Junko Land timeline.
Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. Point is, it happened. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosions threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. It blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered and animals died by the millions. The few humans who were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually, they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sunset's red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Tenmyoji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost in thought I barely noticed Phi's approach.
Hey, Sigma. I think I figured something out.
A window popped up on the inside of my helmet with a whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? What is it?
I figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E? Oh, you mean the graffiti.
Yeah, the one on floor B. I think it's an anagram, just like on floor A.
What's an Anna say this time?
God damn it, Sigma! Knock it off!
Memento mori if the ninth lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, you get... The man on the moon rules the infinite time. See? You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in ninth.
Gee, it's an anagram. Who would have guessed that was an anagram? The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose. To transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the past. Those 2 people are you, Sigma, and you, Phi.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow. You don't get it?
I do have Radical 6.
They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
But wait a minute. Are you saying you think they're going to send us back 45 years?
Yeah. I'd bet on it.
So, the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe Tenmyoji was talking about?
I think so.
That doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came from that same time period. Before it, actually. So why bring us here and then send us back?
Well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
You know where she is?
I've got an idea. Come on, think. Remember what she said when she gave you the key?
Tu fui ego eris.
The grave. The one in the garden.
Well, come on, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
We turned and ran back into the pressure exchange chamber, the others following close behind.
What are you doing? Did you forget something?
We're going to go have a talk with somebody.
Who?
You really need me to spell it out? The person behind all this.
You mean Akane?
What?
I'll take that as a yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait, why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please.
I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
Nope, my furniture's not speaking up, so anyway.
I'm going too then.
So am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're not... You're serious? What the hell is going on?
Ah, shut up! Just shut up. Come if you want to. We don't need to do roll call. Once we get there, Akane can explain everything. With that, we headed back to the airlock. Although why the door's able to open up for us, I couldn't tell you.
Ah, clever. The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah, thought we might be able to take the lift to it, and it looks like I was right.
Yeah, no, I mean, that wasn't, kind of hinted at all, like, ever.
Any idea where Akane might be?
Yeah, the grave.
You mean the grave in the garden?
Yeah. Don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. Chances are she's alive. Just in the grave. Anyway, let's move. To the garden. Nah, I don't want to sing that. I know someone who would want to sing about the moon, though.
Is Akane really under here?
I think so.
What should we do? Are we gonna dig her out?
No, I don't think we'll have to do anything like that. You see the keyhole on the grave? If I just insert this here, I pulled the key off my ankle and fitted it onto the hole. I twisted to the right until I heard something unlock. With a quiet grinding, the grave began to shift.
What is this?
It doesn't look like a coffin.
Yeah, it's a treatment pod.
Oh my god.
It is, isn't it?
The glass on the cover had frosted it over, making it opaque. We couldn't see who or what was in it.
Let's see what's inside.
She grabbed a hold of the lever on the side of the pod.
No good. I think it's locked.
What?
Treatment pod TP-00. Stage 1 defrosting complete. Stage 2 will be complete in 10 minutes. Once Stage 2 is complete, the lock will automatically disengage.
Right, cold sleep.
What?
These pods can put people in cold sleep. It uses something called CAS to freeze human bodies without destroying your cells.
So, Mizakane's like an ice cube?
I think so.
And we gotta wait till she melts?
Yeah.
So how about you tell us your story while we wait, Kay? Specifically, why do you know Akane?
I remembered.
What do you remember?
Everything. I was born and raised in this facility. It's called Rhizome 9. A rhizome is an underground plant stem that spreads by sending out roots. Kind of makes sense, doesn't it? This facility is a little like a rhizome. Supposedly, that's why they call these installations that. The number comes from the facility's number. There are 54 rhizomes on the moon, and this is the 9th one. Well, I suppose the other ones don't really matter to you, do they? In any event, I grew up here with Akane and Zero Senior. I watched them create the AB project.
The AB project?
Yes. Its purpose is to send Phi and Sigma, or their consciousnesses at least, to the past.
Back 45 years, right?
Yes.
So, you want us to change history, huh? Go back and keep Radical 6 from getting out, and stop the reactors from exploding. That's our mission?
Well, not exactly.
What do you mean?
It's true that the ultimate goal of the project is to keep Radical 6 from spreading to the general population. But even if you do make it back, you won't be able to do much. By now, it's already too late.
Too late?
What do you mean?
Let me begin at the beginning. You might be thinking that Zero Senior and Akane were the ones who created all this, but that's not entirely correct. They only followed the histories they'd already seen. It was the only choice they had. Nothing less than the future of mankind is at stake. We need the two of you to jump through timelines while maintaining your memories. That is why you had to play the AB game, and why the chromatic doors were necessary. By forcing multiple options, you could make numerous jumps. We speculated that jumping more would strengthen your memories. The puzzles were also there for a purpose. Some theories hold that a moment of insight when you solve a puzzle strengthens your connection to the fourth dimension. That was the reason for the puzzles. Your infection with Radical 6 was also a vital part of our plan. By slowing down your brain's processing speed, we can store your potential. With that energy stored up, we just had to provide a life-or-death situation to launch your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Like a bullet from a slingshot.
Wait, hold on just a minute here. You keep talking about Sigma and Phi, but what about the rest of us? Why did you bring us here?
That's simple. In earlier histories, you were all here in Rhizome 9. We needed you here to accurately replicate those histories. Although I suppose that's probably not a good enough explanation for you. In a sense, though, it is the truth. Our primary goal was to replicate history. The rest is... Yes, I suppose I should explain.
Yes, Zenyatta, you should.
Very well. I will try and do so in a way you can understand. First, Alice and Clover. They were abducted 45 years and 1 month ago, on December 22nd, 2028. The location is Earth, of course. More specifically, Los Angeles, California. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
After being kidnapped, your bodies were sent to a facility under Akane's direction. You were placed in treatment pods and immediately put into cold sleep. 4 months later, you arrived at this facility. The date you finally arrived was April 14th, 2029. Your trip from Earth to this facility was aboard a spaceship powered by an annihilation engine. Following your arrival, your pods were placed in long-term storage. Does that make sense?
Are you telling me we were sleeping in those pods here for 45 years?
Yes. In preparation for this day.
But why? What do you need us for?
You are an Esper, aren't you, Clover? I mean that you are able to access the fourth dimension. Am I wrong?
Did Akane tell you?
In a manner of speaking. As I've already explained, the purpose of this project is to send Sigma and Phi's consciousnesses to the past. Espers are able to sort of resonate with one another, which can amplify their power. You understand? This is why we brought you here, Clover.
What about me?
We needed your help, Alice, to deactivate Dio's bombs.
Huh? But I didn't do anything.
But you did. In another history. You were able to perform a prime decomposition on the 25-digit integer that Dio left behind. Only you could do that sort of thing. Because of your feat of mathematics, we were about to determine that Dio had planted the bombs.
Yeah, she could not get to her brother because her brother is long since dead.
Then we were able to question him and get the password for the number 31. Finally, we used that information to stop the bomb in this timeline. Without your help, Alice, we would have been reduced to nothing more than so much space dust. This history exists because of your presence. Now, let me explain why we needed Tenmyoji and Quark.
So just think about this. They basically resigned Snake to probably going insane because they kidnapped Clover. And he never got to see her again.
Tenmyoji is simple. We needed you for the same reason we needed Clover. You are able to access the fourth dimension. Almost half a century ago, you used that ability to save a young girl, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
We needed you to resonate with Sigma and Phi, so we brought you here. All it took was a messenger.
Do you want to see Akane? If you do, come with me. I was a fool and fell for it.
And you brought Quark with you. In fact, you insisted that he come.
Yeah, I know. I guess you were worried about leaving me alone, huh? He kept saying he couldn't run off to the moon and leave me behind.
I'm sorry, Quark. If I hadn't been so stupid and selfish, none of this would have happened to you. I never thought this would happen. Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, don't worry about it. I mean, I agreed to come with you. I thought the moon would be way more interesting than boring old Earth. What kid would turn that down?
We didn't see the messenger after we got on the ship. It was on autopilot. As soon as we got in, it headed straight for the moon. During the trip, Zero told me to keep quiet once we got there. I don't remember anything after we landed.
Then there was a bunch of that white smoke, and we passed out. And when I woke up, I was in the AB room.
Now, Dio. His real name is Left, and he's the leader of a terrorist organization called the Myrmidons. He was ordered to come here. The Myrmidons are under the control of an organization called Free the Soul, which is in turn controlled by a man known as Brother. It was Brother who orchestrated the release of Radical 6 into the general population 45 years ago. Do you remember what Phi mentioned earlier? The ultimate purpose of the AB project is to change history and keep Radical 6 from being released. If we succeed, that would be bad for Brother and his organization. Our success would prevent them from creating the ideal world they're working toward. That is why Brother sent Left, his trusted lieutenant, to this facility. They needed to stop the AB project. So, Dio was given 2 tasks. The first was to eliminate Akane, the architect of the AB project. The second was to join the AB game and win it. If Dio won the game, the AB project would not be completed, at least not in that timeline.
And this is true. If you think about the mind as a soul, then Akane was also about freeing the soul.
In other words, in that world, the project would have been stopped. If things didn't go as planned, Dio was given a contingency plan. If you cannot murder Akane and win the game, destroy Rhizome 9. Hence, the bombs.
Can I ask you something?
Well, technically, Brother was the one that wanted the world to end.
Perhaps.
How did Brother know about the AB project?
He was also an Esper. We can set Brother aside for now, though. May I proceed?
No one objected. We were all curious.
Excellent. That explains everyone, save 2, Luna and myself. Sigma and Phi already know the truth about Luna. I don't believe I should reveal any more, however.
Oh, we will get back to Brother.
I think it would be more appropriate if you could ask Luna yourselves, at a later time. Would that be alright with you? Luna?
Yes, that's okay.
As for me, as I said before, I was born and raised here. The rest of you were brought to this facility, but I've never left. That makes me someone close to Zero Senior and Akane.
Hey, I've been wondering, who is Zero Senior?
You've already met him, Sigma. In another timeline.
Yeah. Well, I saw a hologram. I still don't know who he is.
Stage 2 is complete.
That was oddly timed.
TP00 unlocking.
It looks like it's finished. Shall we open the pod?
Yeah, let's do it. All of us gathered around the pod. The glass was still covered with frost, hiding the contents.
Okay. Let's get started then. Ready?
Phi laid her hand on the lever and looked around at us. I swallowed. Yeah, anytime.
Alright. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What? Suddenly my head was full of memories from other timelines. I'd seen something like this before. The warehouse of Floor B, in front of the white door. Kay was lying in front of me. I grabbed his mask and saw my own face. I'd never figured out who he really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath Kay's armor? It didn't make sense. Yeah, where did they get the other god-awful shirt from? Maybe he's like that one engineer that got in a lot of trouble for wearing the really tacky shirt during the press conference after I forgot exactly what they did. Maybe it's kind of like that. After I'd seen him, I was injected with tuberculine, and that was the end of that. But wait, if the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen on the floor of the warehouse, who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed. Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
No. Oh my god, you're...
Yes, I am.